I'm your host, Anthony Tank Mansfield, and with me this week is...
Hi, I'm Chris Pearce.
And this is What You Into.
What you into? What you into?
Here we go. It's podcast time.
Right on.
All right. So, welcome to the basement, everybody. Back again. The guest. Fuck, I'm fucking this up. The listeners are back. Most of them. I might have new listeners because I have a first-time guest, Chris Pearce, on the show. Dude, how you doing?
I'm doing well. You will have a new listener because my mom said she's going to listen to this. So,
Chris's mom, I apologize for all the swearing. And any weird sex thing that I say.
She's a New Yorker. She's a New Yorker, Tank. She's been around.
Oh, fuck, it's cool. Okay,
Yeah.
Good. Okay, we're good. All right. In that case, then. So, welcome in, man. Stoked to have you on the show tonight.
I'm excited to be here, dude.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one because we're getting into a specific show for once. We're talking WKRP. I'm not going to bury the lead. They saw coming in. They know what this is about. But before we get to that, let's plug you real quick. So if you want to check out Chris's stuff online, find him on Instagram, Mr. Pearce Teach. It's a must follow. You have one of my favorite Instagrams to follow.
I appreciate that.
You get incredible content daily. Or at the very least, like every 2 days.
Yeah.
But you'll get like a lot of times what Chris is doing is like you're drawing cartoons of stuff.
Yeah. Yep. I'm an educator and a cartoonist, and I try to like combine the things as much as possible in the social media. So you get a lot of stuff about my job, but then I kind of go off on tangents and stuff. It's fun. I don't enjoy all social media, but I enjoy kind of curating that. That's how I think about it sometimes.
I'm a fan of cartoonists that do like the like biography thing where it's based on their life. They're taking stuff directly from life and they turn it into something you can look at.
Yeah.
And I always found that interesting with Crumb, and which. You're not doing the same thing. We'll put that out there right now.
There's some things that Crumb does that I would do, and then there are some things that I don't think I would do.
Yeah. You're like, I'm trying to have a career in the year
Yeah.
2023, so I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
But I do like the idea of like that storyteller aspect to it because you're not just making art, but now you're also incorporating in like a lot of times there's humor involved, which I think is great, and various other emotions. But it's hard to find humor in work usually because it's rare. It's rare to find humor in artwork.
That's true. I would say that like I do like to think about it like micro, where you're like looking at individuals. But then I've been doing them for 15. I've been drawing comics pretty much since high school. But like specifically comics about being a teacher, I've been drawing them since day one of being in the classroom. And I know eventually I'm going to be able to look back at that and be like, wow, I kind of documented the whole career, like everything that was going on in the classroom, which is something some of that early stuff is pretty rough, but it's still kind of cool that it exists.
It's very cool. And I think it's also kind of a metaphor for teaching. And those first years are very rough, when you're in the classroom for the first time.
Indeed.
Yeah. Until you like figure out your systems and what works and what doesn't work. And, I've seen this before here.
Yep.
I know how to navigate these waters.
Absolutely. No, it's 3 years. It's 3 years before you're any good.
Yeah.
That's what I tell people.
I mean, yeah, you start figuring out some stuff in the first two, but yeah, it definitely takes the three where you smoothed out a lot of the stuff that was still a pain. But yeah, the first year is, I'm surprised people come back after the first year. The first year is rough.
It's rough, but then you get, most places, you get the summer. And I think that first summer, after that first rough year of teaching, just feels orgasmic. It feels like you have accomplished something. You've gotten to the top of the mountain. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine at the beginning of this summer, and we've both been in the biz for about the same amount of time. I've got a couple more years than him, but we're talking 15, 17 years apiece. And we both kind of agreed, like, not that summer isn't great and everything, but like that initial thrill that you used to have as a young person where it's just like, oh my God, I'm beholden to no one for the next 2.5 months, and the checks are going to keep coming because that's the way they pay us. And that's kind of goes with the sands of time and shit.
Yeah, there is definitely that freedom where it's just like I can go to a bar on a Wednesday. Like it's fine. I don't have to wake up. It's cool.
Yeah, I love going to the bar on Wednesday. Like that's such a perk. Bar on a Wednesday and then breakfast on just a random Tuesday, Thursday where you walk in and it's just you and the old duffers that are there every day. That's summer.
It's such a nice time when you get to experience the world where everybody else is doing 9 to 5 stuff, because that is the majority of the world. I mean, there are jobs that exist outside of 9 to 5, but if you try to work on a schedule that's outside of Monday through Friday 9 to 5, you figure out how much the system is geared towards Monday to Friday 9 to 5.
Totally. Like there's little things that you can take advantage of for everything that is a little bit more, travel. Travel is, I think, the one thing that, like, well, everybody's off at that time. The kids are off, so you're not going to go down to Disney World and get like an empty situation. Like it's game on travel. But as far as like just kind of puttering around your hometown and stuff, that's the best time for it.
Yeah, if you want to get breakfast, you want to run any errands,
Yep.
if you need to go to a big box store,
Yep.
like you want to go to Lowe's and it's not awful.
Yeah.
Go
You
on
can
a Tuesday.
enjoy being at like Target or Meijer instead of just being like, oh my God, fuck these people.
There's people everywhere.
Oh.
Why are people bringing their dogs to the home improvement store now? I don't understand. But here we are.
I don't mind it, but I don't understand it.
I don't mind it until like there's dogs barking at each other in the store. And
Yeah.
then I'm just like, all right, man, like this seems to be a lot, right?
Yeah.
Like what are we doing here?
This is a total digression, but I took my son and daughter up to the Air Force Museum up in Dayton. And we were walking around and we noticed a lot of service dogs
That's cool.
that like were just around. And eventually, like we went up into one plane and somebody had a service dog there, like in the plane.
Whoa.
With people coming through all the time. And I said something to the lady and she's like, we bring him here to get him used to different environments. He's never going to be in a Korean War era plane, but it gets him used to a different environment. Will he be in an environment like that at some times? Who knows? But I thought that was kind of cool.
That's cool on the job prep for the dogs.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, we're going to throw you into something that, okay, see what this does for you. And it is amazing how intelligent those dogs are, that they are that high level that they can do. Because I know that, like, if I tried to take Jet, it's a struggle if I take her to a beer garden. Yeah. She wants to go see everybody. She wants to go be everybody's friend. She needs to be petted.
Yeah.
And to see something like that where you just, like, have some German Shepherds just, like, chilling.
Yeah.
Just like, okay, cool.
Won't engage with anybody at all.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to sit here with my head up the whole time.
Yeah, I'm just hanging out.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so another place people can find you at is on Twitter, which they can find you at Teachable Comics.
Yes, all one word, Teachable Comics.
So, Godspeed to you being on Twitter. It terrifies me.
Yeah.
People are just always yelling at each other. But the problem is when news breaks, that's where you find out first.
Everything's still there first a little bit. Like even, a couple weeks ago there was a drone like sort of like display in France. Beautiful. Like it's amazing when you watch those drones like kind of sync up and form an image in the sky. And I noticed, like, I wanted to send it to everybody. I was like, I don't want to send everybody a Twitter link. Twitter sucks. So I was like, oh, wait till it pops up on Instagram. And it did take a little longer. It just seems to pop up there first.
Yeah, I will sometimes find stuff on Reddit first, but it's rare.
Yeah.
I think because a lot of times it does just link back out to Twitter. Because I think it's just one of those things where you can just take a picture, get into the app, immediately post it, and then boom, it's out there.
Totally.
And then it's just easy to pick up.
It's a very good point. I think you're right about that. Like just the ease of it probably aids in its life and maybe its continued life. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's also something where I definitely think that's where news is at. Because it's just like, again, it's people that are sharing links and stuff that's breaking. This is happening right now. Just like 2-sentence things sometimes to tell you what it is. So I think that also makes sense why it's the spot to go to where conversation moves quickly.
Yeah. I'll be in there. I'll be on there. Teachable Comics. I'll be on there for a little while longer. but I don't know. It's something that if you don't look for the conversation, and I try not to, Yeah. I try to use it as like, here's comics, and then here's the stuff I'm doing in my classroom, and I feel like that's a positive way. And social media's hooked me up a bunch of times as far as being able to bring musicians to my students, authors, actors, famous people that normally wouldn't interact with my kids, but like did or were able to just because they saw what I was doing. And they were like, yeah, yes, let's figure something out.
And that does happen. I think that's how Sigourney Weaver ended up going to some. There was a high school theater class that put on Alien, and so like the teacher had them build, like the different all the displays and like they made like a alien costume for the character. They had them design the special effects. They designed like the interiors of the Nostromo.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then they got to act in it. And then somehow, some way, somebody got a hold of Sigourney Weaver, and she's like, "Yeah, I'll come to this.
I have to see that."
Yeah. So Sigourney Weaver showed up at the high school drama club's presentation of Alien.
That's sweet. I bet I got to look that up. We are of a like mind when it comes to the Alien movies. The Alien movies were my Star Wars growing up. Like, I don't know how that exactly happened, but like those first two movies were just repeat. So I got to check that out.
Yeah. Well, have you seen Aliens on Ice?
I have not seen Aliens on Ice.
Listener, you can find this on YouTube. Aliens on Ice.
All right.
Somebody, I think it was in Austin, Texas, because of course, rented out a shitty hockey rink, and they performed Aliens on Ice, and so they just made a play adaptation while skating.
That's great.
It's really fun when the Aliens comes out because you see people in like suits and they're wearing but they're really shitty suits. Like they're still zipping across very fast and like sprinting.
It's still terrifying, in a way. Yeah. You can imagine something running by you like that, and it's like, oh my God, that thing's going to cut me in two. That's super sweet. I will look that up. Guarantee it.
Oh, man. Yeah, so, all right. As for me, for social media, at NeoNoNo, and that's where you can find me at on Instagram. Am I making a Threads account? I don't know. I'm trying not to. I got to figure out TikTok first. I'm still dealing with that because I've been trying to boycott TikTok. I'm like, I'm not going to, I don't want to deal with this because I just don't want to have to edit reels. And now I'm like, okay, I can do it. And it does get better engagement. But then it's like, now I got to be both on Instagram and TikTok. These are old guy problems. I don't want to do all this.
And TikTok will eat your life. I watch it with my students sometimes where it's just like, dude, you can't just sit there for 3 hours when you get home and just like watch things at 15 to 60 second chunks. It's going to take your attention span down 2 notches if that's consistent. Having said that, I have recently recovered from a TikTok addiction. So, buyer beware.
TikTok is weird, right? Like it definitely does that where it will send you down little rabbit holes and you just get stuck watching shit.
Yep.
And it's a constant dopamine drip of like, this is cool. Because it has to be cool or you're going to skip it. So right there, like within the first 1 to 2 seconds, something has to happen.
Oh, I definitely think that as far as TikTok goes, they got that algorithm. Like whatever, I think I'm using that right. I'm not. But the algorithm for TikTok is unbelievable. Like, if you use it for like 2 weeks, they will have you figured out. Like all of a sudden they'll be like, hey, do you want to see a guy repairing an old VW Vanagon? There it is. And when you'll see that, I looked up tummy time. You know how like when babies are born, you got to put them on their tummies a little while so they get used to being sitting that way. I looked it up because there was a funny video I was trying to show somebody. I was like, oh, it'll be on TikTok. I wish I hadn't because now they just serve me up tummy time videos all the time. Not an area of my interest, but like I'll turn it on and be like, oh my God, why did somebody video that? Why am I looking at it? It's because of the algorithm. They're not going to forget it.
Now again, see, this is why I'm terrified. I don't need to deal with another algorithm. No. I don't need the internet feeding me weird shit.
Yeah. That's all it is now is weird shit.
It's what it's always been.
Yeah.
But now it's even more weird.
Yeah. I mean, the ease with which you get the weird shit is so much easier. Old
internet was fun weird shit. It was message boards and it was like, memes and shit. But now it's like, especially with apps, the way it can drill in and now it can be in your brain and exactly what you want it to see and be. And just, it is like that weird thing from fucking WALL-E where it's just the fats sitting in those chairs, like with their face in a screen.
Yeah.
Like
it's just feeding into you. It's feeding into you.
Yeah, and it's just going to keep getting more and more interactive because I mean, Apple just released like that $3,500 fucking IMAX hat.
Yeah, headset with
thing, and other companies have already released peripherals like that. So it's like, yeah, we're heading in that direction.
Have you ever messed with any of those?
I haven't messed with like the Oculus or anything like that. There hasn't been anything yet that I'm like, I really want to do that. And also I like passive gaming. Like I'm not really big on the idea of like, I need to be the one
immersed.
Like I don't need to be like swinging the bat or like holding the gun or like running and jumping over the shit. Like I like to chill on my couch and just, control Wasteland Warriors and not have to fucking deal with anything.
I think our generation, because they're going to figure that out eventually. Eventually, right now it seems like those peripherals are things where people aren't really asking for them. There doesn't seem to be a lot of technology that like there's no silver bullet of like, oh, you have to get it so that you can do this. Mm-hmm. You can play this game. You can experience this movie in this way. There's nothing like that that's been made yet. But eventually they'll figure it out, or they'll just continue doing it to a point that like capitalism will be like, all right, everybody's going to buy one. But I do think our generation will be like the ones like old people shaking fists at cloud on that. I don't know that many people who were raised in the times that we were like, we were used to, 30 minutes of television with commercials in it. And like, they probably won't make the big switch over. At least that is my theory into that kind of stuff.
It'll be interesting to watch to see how it goes because, I mean, definitely thinking about just people growing up, in what was it like? When was radio first introduced? Like 1910, 1920?
Yeah. So and it's fallen off by like the 40s into the 50s.
So in the 50s, you get black and white TVs.
Yes.
And then 60s, you get color TVs.
Yes.
So, so to think about that, to think about just going from like something on a radio and having to listen to be descriptive to then, then by the 80s, you got CRT TVs. And then if you lived along, I mean, if you made it from like 1930 to 2000, the early 2000s, you started seeing flat screens in HD.
Yeah.
Like that's a huge technology leap to go from shit on a radio to seeing stuff on an HD screen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if like I'm sure there were people who just never made the jump to television. Like, or maybe they made it like much later and with much complaining because they were wired in a way like, no, that's how I am delivered my entertainment is I like to sit there and I like to read the paper while I'm listening to it. And I know I'm just listening, I'm missing the visuals or, I don't know. It's definitely something I'm interested in. I always wonder like how long, and I'm sure this is very easy to find out, but like how long until like it was cut off where they were like, all right, we're not going to do any more. No more, Mystery Hour. No more The Shadow.
Yeah.
When is it dead? I don't know.
Well, there's something we could research.
Yes.
And you are a researcher because not only do you know about things like WKRP, but you also know about our opening topic tonight, which is just comics.
Yeah, I'm a comics guy. So
this is interesting to me because you and Jamie are both this way. You guys are constantly at half price books.
Yep.
Which it's your guys' version of me going to a record store.
That's right.
So, and you are a man that loves to scour the dollar bins.
I am I would rather buy $5 comics than one $5 comic most of the time. I don't really care about. I don't collect for money. I don't collect to pad my retirement fund. I collect because I buy things because artist, writer, publisher. Publication date and things like that. So I kind of am usually all over the map when it comes to, and the dollar bins are a great place for that. That's absolutely true.
Do you so how do you approach that? Like, are you when you're surfing through the bin, like what makes you skip like $10 comics, but then you hit number 11 is that's a bingo. Like Like, how do you haven't, so, because you're looking for a lot of genres, looking for a lot of different things.
That's true.
Because you're a wide net collector.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you got to have something where you're like, junk, ching.
Yeah. I am lucky that, like, I have pretty much had my, I love superheroes. I love the genre of superheroes. I do love those comics to death. But I have reached a point in my reading and what I value where, like, usually I can breeze past a lot of those. So, and that's where the value is for a lot of people who buy comics. Like they are not as interested in as like something a black and white from like the 80s boom of comics as they are in like, oh, that issue of Daredevil that like I need. That's a good one. So that's usually the first thing. And then it's just usually like I don't care as much about keys. I don't care much about first appearances or whatever. Like I just I dig comics. So that's usually where the dollar bin's usually where it's happening.
Will a good cover suck you in?
Yeah, a good cover will suck me in. I am as far as buying modern comics. A lot of the modern comics market is marketed around variant covers. So you get your regular cover, and then you get like an artist that everybody loves to do a variant, and then it's a whole ordering thing. So I can be sucked in by variants. I can be sucked in. I will take a flyer. That's the nice thing about a dollar bin is you can take a flyer on something and be like, well, I don't know about that, but that cover's cool. It's sometimes I just had this happen because I was just in Half Price Books and there was a like you're going through the dollar bins and then a trick of the trade is I guess to like completely switch up the way your cover looks. So like you might do it in the style of like, all right, we're normally a murder mystery like noir comic, but we're going to do an issue that looks like an old issue from the 1950s or one of those old EC comics. And that'll draw you up. And they'll be like, oh, is that an EC comic? No, it's just somebody doing the old EC homage. Gonna keep rolling.
I feel a similar way with this when I go to buy beer. Because, so I'm going in with them like, okay, I know places that I like. I'm like, I like Toppling Goliath. If I see anything by Other Half, I'm going to get that. If I see something by Hoof Hearted, I'm going to go in that direction. Anything by Drecker, I'm going to give it a look. And so I kind of got like my checklist in my head. But if I see like a really cool can, I'm like, well, it's got a skull on it. And that's pretty awesome. You know, like it's not too hard to make me take a chance on something. I'm like, it's a $3 can. All right, here you go.
Yeah, I've definitely been drawn in by the can. I think I might be drawn in by like a cool can more than I am by like a comic cover, but that's just because I've got less beer experience and more comics experience.
You can decipher this easier. You're like, look, over here I can get fooled by a pretty face, but over here I'm on my game. I understand what's happening.
It's pretty apt too.
What so after you like, do you fuck with trade paperbacks at all?
I do. Okay. I do. I definitely. The only trade paperbacks I really fuck with are like era specific trades these days. Like, you know, talk about like the boom in radio to television to the advances in television. Definitely, I have been lucky enough to grow up at a time where like there wasn't a lot collected when I was a kid. Like a trade was a catch as catch can, sort of like, and then it was expensive. Walden Books didn't have a ton. They might have like a trade of Watchmen or Dark Knight Returns, Mouse maybe, but there wasn't a ton of regular stuff being collected. To now when everything's collected, I don't buy newer trades all the time because I do think there are some problems with coloring that make me crazy. Oversaturation of color is the like big thing. But like if you can go back and find a trade of like I just bought a trade of, and it's not a very good comic, but Marvel Comics Secret Wars, which is a big, thick trade, and it was made in the 80s. Like the colors on that look great. Like that's just kind of what I want. So I will do that. But I'll buy trades for like newer stuff. I know that's the way most people like to consume these days. The floppies are a thing in the past.
Yeah, I definitely am on the train of if I'm gonna read anything comics, I'm just gonna read trade paperbacks because like if I get a single issue, I'm through it in like less than 5 minutes.
Absolutely.
And I also hate myself for reading it that fast because I realize how long it takes artists to make those pages, and it's like I really need to slow down.
Yeah.
And kind of enjoy it. But it is the thing where it's so quick to blow through.
It is one of those things like as a teacher who very specifically champions comics, who's been championing comics in the classroom like well before even like it's pretty well accepted now. Like comics are good. Like give your kids comics, it will sharpen their skills, it will give them lots of support to the words, and like you can build on that. But that's one thing where it's like it's sometimes hard to do because you will get those kids, even if it's a big trade, who like, all right, this is our work for the next 2 weeks here. And then the next day they'll come and be like, I read it all. And it's like, yeah, I know you did, but like we're gonna be in it for another like 9 days, so you're gonna have to read it again and again and again.
You can't go home and binge the series.
Yeah.
We got to take this episode by episode, kid.
Exactly.
We got this laid out.
At the same time, though, you can't. If the problem is that the kid wants to read,
Yeah.
like it's not exactly a problem.
Hey, stop reading.
Yeah.
Knock that shit off.
Yeah.
Are you trying to be fucking smart?
Exactly.
What's wrong with you?
Exactly. You're not impressing me.
Yeah.
You think I'm so impressed. Oh, you went home and you read 80 pages of a comic book in wow. All right, let me give you great expectations now. You come back and tell me when you're finished with that.
So now when I try to find trades, I'm now relying on other people because I never know what's happening. But every once in a while, like I thank Jamie for this. He always comes through with something where he's like, check out Humans. And I'm like, what's this? And he's like, it's Planet of the Apes meets like a 70s biker gang.
Yep.
I'm like, cool, awesome. And then he also got me hip to, or Mike Madak and him got me hip to Southern Bastards. And I was like,
I've been reading Southern Bastards out of the dollar bins lately.
I was like, this is great.
Great.
I'm like, this is a great book. This is the original story. And it's also a story I've seen before, but this is the new way of doing it.
Yep. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. That's one I've been picking, and that's one of the dollar bin things, which is picking through the bins, where it's like, I don't quite have a full run yet, but I've got like a lot of it, and I'm missing pieces. But one of the nice things about Southern Bastards is each issue works on its own. Mm-hmm. Like, really, like, if you know the basic arc of the book, like, it works like an old Vertigo book used to work, where, like, you're like, all right, we're going to look at, what's the main guy, the boss, the guy who's, right, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, he's like the bad guy / like
right.
high school
the football coach, right?
Yeah.
So, like, you'll get an issue about, like, his lackey, and then you'll get one about, like, a player, and that's a really fun one to read. I really like that book a lot.
Yeah. That's where I'm at again. Just at this point, it was just trades where I'm just like, all right, somebody tell me what to read. It's cool, awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm always stoked when somebody can give me a good recommendation. So and then finally, are you like with the way you are collecting? Are you trying to put together a full series of books? Or is it just kind of, if I do, I do. If I don't, I don't.
I have some books that I am trying to put together full runs on. But very casually. I am not actively like buying them on eBay or anything. The two big ones that I'm doing right now are I'm doing Savage Dragon, which is one of the original Image comic books, and it's been running since the 90s. And that's a very hard run to put together. There's some issues that are very low print run. I probably will never finish that out. I probably don't think I will finish that out. But the other one that I know I will be able to finish out is I've been working on Conan the Barbarian. Conan the Barbarian, I love reading old Conan the Barbarians. I love the Barry Windsor Smith issues. I love the John Buscema issues. It's a perfect comic to give somebody like done in one most of the time, but the story arcs out. And there's I think there's 275 issues, 300 issues, and most of them live in the dollar bins. When you get into like even past the first 100 issues, they are usually dollar bin fodder, and then 1 through 100 are usually like $2-3 at a pop. So that's one that I'm really working toward. Is I love Conan the Barbarian. I do.
That's a pretty awesome thing to be collecting, is just going with a strong Conan collection.
You know what's weird, Tank, is I have a friend back home who's one of my comic buddies I went to high school with, and he went over to his father-in-law's house last weekend, and he sent me pictures of father-in-law had like an old, cardboard box full of comics that he put in Ziploc baggies.
Okay.
And there were some Conans. I said, flip through those Conans for me. And so he flipped through them, and I was like, I'm putting a run together of Conan. He's like, you're not going to believe this. And he sent me a screenshot from another buddy of his who had just said the same exact thing. That man knows 2 people who are currently trying to put together a run of Conan the Barbarian.
Oh, man. Does this guy realize how much of a nerd he is, that he knows?
Oh, yes,
okay,
yes. He knows. He knows. He surrounds himself with people who are like-minded.
This is hilarious. I love the fact that this is existing out there in the world
Yeah.
at this very moment in time.
It pleased me when I heard it.
Well, look, man. So let's talk about WKRP.
Let's talk about WKRP.
Okay, so you and I, for a while, we went back and forth on like different things because I was like, "Hey, come on the show."
They did, yeah.
And then you're like, "Cool," and I'm like, "What do you want to talk about?" You're like, "I don't know,
man."
And so you had to think on it, and we talked about doing a few different things.
Yeah.
And then you came back to me. You're like, "Can we do WKRP in Cincinnati?" And I'm like, "Does WKRP in Cincinnati bring you happiness?" And your answer was,
"Oh, absolutely, absolutely." It brings me happiness for a couple of different reasons, but like definitely, and let me just say, I'm going to be talking. We'll talk WKRP. There are people out there who are much more knowledgeable about it than I am, that have written books about it. That like I have my understanding. So if I say anything that is like maybe somebody's going to be like, actually, that it's very possible. But I do love the show for a variety of reasons.
We don't have a producer on the show, so therefore we can't Google in real time.
Yes.
So come on, listener, give us a little slack here. We're shooting from the hip.
Yes.
And it's gonna be fun. Yeah. So, but you do bring up something that is interesting that people with hobbies and collections do, and that is say where they are at in it, because that's something I've had happen on the show multiple times with different people who are like, "Hey, I'm not an expert in this. Here's what I know. So if I step outside the lines, I didn't intend to." And I think that's an interesting crossover that goes through many different things.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. So right there, I'm like, all right, checkbox. WKRP is existing in a hobby, definitely a collection.
Yeah,
definitely
absolutely.
a collection, a full series. 4 years, 4 seasons, 90 fucking episodes.
Yep. The syndication benchmark is usually 100 episodes, but they spun it into syndication at 90, and it's one of those rare shows that got a bump from syndication, where Star Trek would probably be the primo example of this, where they did 3 seasons of Star Trek and then it ended, and then somebody was like, well, this still looks pretty good, let's syndicate it. And then that's where the groundswell of like everybody like becoming enamored with Star Trek really came from, in a systemic cultural way. And so the same thing was happening to WKRP when it first hit. It was a huge hit in syndication, again, for a bunch of reasons. I'm sure the music was part of it. And also, I think maybe people didn't see it when it was on. It was moved around a lot, time slot wise, when it was on television. So, yeah, it's one of those rare ones where kind of its reputation grew even after it was over.
I think this is something we need to spotlight real quick before we go on. Is 2 things, and for younger listeners, this might not get, but the ideas of syndication and the ideas of time slots, because the world used to work in a way where you couldn't like watch a TV show later. Like you couldn't binge a series. You had to be there at this time to watch this on this night. So like if you wanted to watch Murder, She Wrote, you had to tune in at like Tuesday at 8:30 on CBS or wherever the fuck it was, you know?
It was on Sundays at 8:00.
Okay.
I'm sorry. That
Nice.
is true. Nobody has to Google that. That's when it was on.
Hell yeah, dude.
I had a grandma. She was over the house a lot.
She was watching it. I mean, I could definitely say at 6:05 every Saturday night, the WCW would come on the TBS, the Superstation.
Yeah.
So, that's one of those where I'm like, okay, in time, I know where that's at. Thursday night was always a hot night for NBC, it seemed like, as well. Like that seemed to go on for decades, where they always put their hot night.
I think they had like almost 20 years of supremacy on that Thursday night. Like I think they just dined out on that. And I guess the thought process behind that was because Saturday used to be the big night for television.
Right, Saturday Night Live.
Saturday Night Live, sitcoms lived on Saturdays, variety shows, everybody getting around. But Thursday became big, I think, because they were going for a younger market, and you're going to watch TV on Thursday because on Friday, you're going out. You're going to the bars. You're going and doing something with people. So, Thursday dominance. And like I said, WKRP was definitely a utility player for CBS. They moved it constantly.
And that's the other thing too. If you're getting moved around, then people like expect to see it next season, and oh fuck, something new's here. Or where's my other thing? Well, then you have to watch the TV enough to know that it's on at a different time,
right,
where you're seeing commercials, because if you don't catch it, you don't catch it. And again, like I don't know, like I'm guessing TV Guide exists during this time period.
Oh, sure, for sure.
But even then, like you have to buy TV Guide to find out what is going to be on in the future.
Yeah, true. Good point. Always a valuable thing to buy is a TV Guide at the time.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically like a weekly Yellow Pages.
Yep.
You know, where it's like, hey, here's the map.
Yeah, if you were a movie lover too, TV Guide was crucial because they would air movies at night, and you'd be like, "Oh my God, they're airing that movie on. Well, we got to watch it."
Yeah, well, and you could, and you're exactly right. Being able to plot out a night, like just taking a highlighter and just highlighting in, like, oh, we're gonna watch this at this time, and you just kind of knew you had it set up.
I'm definitely old enough that I had some of that action. I remember being very excited when our local ABC affiliate played The Night Stalker with Gavin. You know, The Night Stalker with Kolchak.
No,
Kolchak is a reporter who is sort of like works for tabloids, and then he actually stumbles onto a real like tabloid story, a vampire, and so like he becomes a vampire, and it's the dad from A Christmas Story. So he's great and everything.
Nice.
And it influenced the X-Files. It was a big influence
cool.
on the X-Files. Just sort of like, there's weird stuff happening. People are the truth is out there, but people don't want to hear the truth. And ABC played that. And I remember being very excited. I was like, all right, I got to stay up till 2 because they're going to air it. I got to stay up till 2. And I made it.
You brought up syndication as well. That's also another thing to think about. Like now, I mean, I get, yeah, things definitely do still exist in syndication. I just don't watch regular TV enough to see it. I mean, I'm sure TNT is still playing like Shawshank Redemption.
Yep, Big Bang Theory nonstop.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Family Guy.
Yeah, oh yeah, Family Guy and Big Bang Theory. Like those are the two big ones, where it's constant and everywhere. The Office.
Yeah, The Office will live forever in syndication. It's one of the last ones that like really kind of people invested in it.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's where, like you said, like WKRP like got its following. It was like, oh, it's in syndication now. So like people were able to like figure out what time it was on and then tune in and watch it, and not only that, but like be able to get a consistent wave of that. Because
absolutely, I think that's a key thing about sitcoms. Is that like one of the things that like we are not attuned to, like people who are just like grew up with streaming and stuff, is that like a sitcom and enjoying a sitcom means you're gonna sit through. You'll get 2 or 3 killer episodes. Like, did you see that? That was so funny when that happens. But there's a lot of middle stuff. There's a lot of like mediocrity where you're just spending time with the characters. Maybe something's funny, maybe something's not. Ted Lasso. Did you and the missus watch Ted Lasso?
We did. We watched all the Lasso.
So the last season of Ted Lasso, I felt, was drubbed by everybody. People were just like, man, they didn't do this, and this was weird, and it was too short, it's too quick, or whatever. And it was just like, have you ever watched a situation comedy? This is the way it works. It's the 3rd season. There's going to be duds. There's going to be things that don't quite work. But the problem is, I don't know how that long that season was. 10 episodes, maybe 11. When you have a shorter season, you don't have the luxury of just spending the time with the characters. And I think that's a key thing that, like, sitcoms really revel in. Like, good characters that you want to spend time with. And that's one of the reasons I do like WKRP, is that, like, after some initial growing pains, they just become people that, like, you want to hang with. You want to be around them a little bit.
And it is interesting, the idea of thinking about how much they did grow in a short span, because it's 4 seasons, 90 episodes. You're talking like 22 episodes per season or so?
Yeah, I think so. I can tell you that right now. Let me tell you, because I actually have it right here.
You got the numbers?
I can tell you the numbers. So, well, you know what? I won't count. All right, first season had 22. Second season had 23, it looks like. 26, it looks like. So you're talking a season of like anywhere between 22 and 30 episodes. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of time to spend with the characters like that.
Okay, so what I did was I listed the characters down. Just give me a 1-word answer.
Okay.
Them. All right,
I will try.
Let's play this game, and then we'll expand.
Okay.
All right, Andy Travis.
Andy Travis, hero.
Hero. Okay.
Hero.
Is he the main man in our journey?
He is the main man in the journey. He is definitely the person who the show, I think, was initially designed around. Like I said, the show had some growing pains when it first started out, but Andy was the center of the show. And then as the show went on, I think it became clearer that the show was not a lead man and ensemble situation. It was just an ensemble situation. But he's the glue, dude. He's the glue that keeps it rolling.
So is he the guy that is the backstory WKRP is failing and he's coming to fix it?
Yeah, so we're in a down market, like Cincinnati's a down market, and he comes in. He's the new program director. WKRP is in the beginning, a sort of classical music, elevator music, put it on in the old folks' home, Shady Pines radio station, and then Andy comes in and shakes it up and makes it a rock and roll station. And so everything falls after that. Like all the changes, the dominoes fall because Andy makes that choice.
Hell yeah. Sick choice, Andy.
It's a good choice.
And Andy comes in and he's like, you know what the people of Cincinnati, Ohio need? They need the precursor to WEBN.
Exactly.
What if Andy would have made WEBN?
Yes. That would have been a smart move for WEBN. That would have been a good move for them.
Arthur Carlson.
Dad.
Dad?
He's the dad of the show.
Okay.
Arthur Carlson is the dad of the show. The radio station is a family affair in a way that doesn't exist anymore. Like his mother owns the radio station and he runs the radio station, and he's definitely the dad of the crew. Very befuddled. And Gordon Jump plays him. Gordon Jump is, most people would know him. I don't know that most people would know him as the Maytag repairman. That's really dating myself. But he was the Maytag repairman for a while.
I mean, it's like if, the lady from the insurance commercials, goes on to do something.
Yes, exactly. Yes. I don't think she's ever gonna. I think that's...
No, she's carved out a great spot. Dude, those people get paid so much once you become like a syndicated, reoccurring mascot. And like the dude that plays Mayhem, he was one of the characters on Oz, and also Schillinger from Oz is also in the We Are Farmers.
Yeah.
Yes. Dude, I see those things I see those commercials like at least a dozen times a day every Saturday because I watch college football in the fall.
Sure.
And it's burned into my brain.
I think of those, it's progressive. Flo's the progressive lady, right?
Yes.
When I look at those commercials, I actually think a lot about sitcoms because it's basically a sitcom now. It's a cast. The cast doesn't seem to be going anywhere. They're telling stories. They're making jokes. In a weird way, it's sort of it's a long-running situation comedy that's selling you insurance.
My parents love commercials. They'll talk to me. They're like, "Have you seen this one? It's hilarious."
I love commercials too, so I would get on with your folks.
Yeah, you would make good friends. They were a big fan of when was it the woman who was on Strangers with Candy? She was like the Target lady for a while.
No, that was so the woman who was on Strangers with Candy is Amy Sedaris, but that was Maria Bamford. But they look very similar.
Yes.
Yeah, I could see.
Yeah,
those Bamford, they got to do that again. Bamford is out of control. She's so funny.
My parents were like over the moon for this. They were like, they're so great. They're hilarious.
They are. They're really good. And there were a bunch of them too, which was nice.
I was a fan of Terry Tate, Office Linebacker.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that series of commercials. Commercials can be fun.
Absolutely. I will tell you something that, again, this may be taking a left turn here, but I do have a TikTok. I don't want you to promote the TikTok, but the TikTok right now is just, I have recently become into the possession of a Zenith 13-inch TV with a VCR on the bottom. And one of my great joys these days is going to the thrift store and picking up at a flyer, this is somebody taped 4 hours of a television show, and just looking at the commercials, dude.
Oh, dude, yeah, that is a huge thing right now on YouTube is commercials from the 80s and 90s. It's weird to go back and watch how we were marketed shit. And yeah, especially looking back on old video game commercials where it's always it's some this one commercial, it's like a gross dude on a bench and then he's itching himself and a zit explodes on his head and it's all weird, zooming in and out angles. I'm just the fuck am I watching? What is happening right now? But this at the time was peak marketing. People were in a room being this is how we're going to sell this thing.
I'm looking forward to a comic that's coming out this year by a cartoonist named Box Brown.
Oh yeah,
you're a
I
wrestler
like that
guy,
dude.
so you probably have read Andre the Giant.
I've read
right?
Andre the Giant. It's great.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's so good. He's a really great cartoonist. He's really great at. I love his because he kind of like makes things really simple.
Yes.
Like not simplistic, but he boils it down to its essentials, which I think is a cool thing if you're making comics. Well, he's got a book coming out. I think it's called The He-Man Effect.
Yeah, it's a whole book about like toys that he got as a kid.
And I guess side along to that is the marketing that allowed that to become something that's a part of my life still. I know it's a part of your life still.
Yeah.
And that is something that like it's the reason it's a part of our lives is because of some choices that were made at like a government level, like at like high levels of like, and now anytime I walk with my kids through the Target toy section, I'm like, oh, look at that. Right. It's I'm looking forward to that book. That's going to be a good one.
I was with you up to the point where it's like government at high levels, and I'm like, is the CIA like corrupting my He-Mans?
That did sound like spooky.
Yeah.
But no, just that when Reagan was in office, he deregulated the way that kids could be marketed to. Like it to a huge degree. And that's when you had your He-Mans and your G.I. Joes and your all those syndicated shows that like again we're back to syndication where it's like every day I would line up and be like, all right, Transformers, bring it on.
Well, and again, it's just because like so before with like when it was in syndication, shit's just like you got to be here every Wednesday at 8:30 to see it. Whereas syndication is like, hey, this thing that you like is on between 4 p.m. and 5 p.m. every day, Monday through Friday.
Exactly.
And I'm just like, oh, I just show up here after school and I get to watch this, and you're like, yes.
Cool. The next 5 hours of every single weekday have been planned. Now that's what it's going to be.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'm here now. I'm watching G.I. Joe again. This is pretty fucking sick.
Why not?
Yeah.
Ghostbusters, real Ghostbusters.
Yeah. Oh, they're doing a Transformers block at the beginning.
Yeah.
Sweet.
In.
Okay. Cool.
All in.
Yeah, I'm here. All right. What about Dr. Johnny Fever? One word.
Burnout.
Okay, burnout.
Yeah, he's a burnout. Johnny Fever seems to be the one. Like, I mean, obviously, Howard Hessman is a friggin' genius. He's so funny, and he's somebody who, like, probably after Lonnie Anderson was the people that most people were most tuning in to kind of like see his charms. But the thing I like about him is that he is just kind of a burnout, and that guy played a burnout really, really well. Probably case in point is the most famous episode that everybody knows is the Thanksgiving turkey drop episode. There's a great extended scene where he's just kind of like laying with his glasses on. And that's something great that the show does a lot of times where like character A and B might be having a scene in an office and Johnny is in the scene, but he is just sleeping on the couch. And then like halfway through, he will get up and he will leave. And then in the next scene, you'll see him and he's sleeping in a chair while something else is going on. So they really used him to a good effect because of that little character thing. But yeah, a little bit of a burnout.
I agree. I think that he is, besides Lonnie Anderson, like the person that is most known from the show or somebody that like has a name where it's like, oh yeah, Johnny Fever. Like yep. I know that name. I know it's something.
Yeah.
And also he had a good look. Like
he did.
He had a good gimmick, with the glasses, the glasses.
Yep. I remember reading somewhere in my youth that like the only people who are allowed to wear glasses inside are the Blues Brothers and Dr. Johnny Fever. And I feel like that's a pretty good list. That's a pretty good list.
I'm gonna throw LP from Run the Jewels on there as well.
All right, so there's 4 now.
Yeah.
Jake, Elwood. We got 4 people on the list. I bet we could come up with a couple of others.
I mean, definitely Bootsy Collins. Like,
yeah,
Bootsy can definitely wear shades inside.
Yeah,
I feel like most rappers, like if you're a rapper, if you want to wear shades inside, it's cool.
Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think. I'll come back to it. It'll come to me. Perhaps when we're talking about something else, all of a sudden I'll be like, oh wait, Henry Kissinger's allowed to wear sunglasses. I don't know that he is.
Stephen King has sunglasses like Geordi from Star Trek. It's like he does. It's like, no, fuck, I didn't know that.
Well, he can wear those.
Okay, sure. I mean, yeah, why not? I mean, if it helps him write, go for it.
Yeah.
It's better all the coke he ingested to make Maximum Overdrive. Don't do that again.
No, he should
actually do that again because goddamn, it's a good bad movie.
Oh,
but it's a bad movie.
Absolutely. It's wonderful. It has a sense of humor about itself. As far as like showing how like everything sort of spins out from when the machines they take over, they become I guess they become self-aware, right? Is that what that is?
It is kind of like a redneck Terminator in that way.
Yes, absolutely. It's got that beautiful John Romita Green Goblin mask on top of that monster truck.
Even as a kid, I was confused by that. I'm like, isn't that copyright infringement?
Yeah, I don't know that he ever asked about that. I doubt it. We're definitely thinking about it with the lens where it's just like, what was that movie made in the early 80s?
Yeah.
Like, that's when he was on his coke binge, right? Like,
he's like, put it on there. What's Marvel going to do? Sue me?
yeah, that's true.
And it's like, at that point, it's like, fuck. Like, Stephen King might have more money in Marvel right now.
Yeah, true. And in the 80s, I guarantee you that was true.
Yeah, so...
That's something.
Man, that's a big dick coked out swinging right there.
It is. And he's on the record that like he doesn't remember about it. Like Cujo, he says he has no memory of Cujo. He wrote it, he gave it to his publisher, it was published. They made a movie out of it. People make jokes and he's like, I don't know how I processed that into a book. So weird. Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Stephen King, man. Les Nessman.
Les Nessman might be the most interesting character.
That's not one word.
Oh, shit. Well, I'm not going to use interesting. Let's see. Neurotic, I guess.
Yeah.
In some ways, though, like he's a pretty interesting character just because of his beliefs and what they made him a mouthpiece for. He's weirdly creative. He has, I think, one of my best jokes, one of my favorite jokes in the entire show, which is in the season 2 episode, Jennifer's Home for Christmas. It's a very regional joke, which is also something I don't think we've even mentioned. Like, we live in, you know what I mean? Like, that's a piece of it that, like, we have that going on. But I believe the joke is Bailey Quarters is complaining about she can't get a flight at Christmas time to Chicago from Cincinnati. And then Les sort of like proudly looks at her and says, you should have done what I did, Bailey. I booked my flight this summer, non-stop to Dayton. And so that's the kind of character that Les Nessman is that he will book a one-way flight from Cincinnati to Dayton, Ohio. Like, it really tells you something about the character when the joke is so informed, like, yeah, that's something that Les would do. Non-stop to Dayton.
I wonder if they even offer that or how fast that would be.
I know. It would be...
I mean, I would like to see them do it just once, just to say they did it.
How fast do you think it would be? Make a guess.
I mean, I don't even know if you fully get up in the air and come back down.
I don't think there'd be any point in getting into like international airspace or whatever, right?
Like, do you really hit 30,000 feet or whatever the flight is?
No, it can't be. It can't be. But a flight from Cincinnati to Dayton...
I mean, you can get to Dayton in 45 minutes.
It can't be an hour. Like, it would probably be like...
it's an hour.
You could probably watch an episode of WKRP and not get to the credits by the time you were landing.
I'm going to say 15 to 20 minutes.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
I mean, if you're coming out from CVG, so you're coming out of Kentucky.
Yeah, CVG to the Dayton airport. Yeah, probably like 18 minutes.
Yeah.
That'd be funny to do once.
If you do it, you got to do it private jet. And you have to be eating shrimp cocktail.
Absolutely.
All white party.
Absolutely. Bring some more champagne over here.
Yeah, everybody.
Quickly, we've only got another 8 minutes before we land in Dayton.
Yeah, in Dayton. Before we go out to the Oregon District.
One nice thing about WKRP is that they relentlessly pummel Dayton. Like, it is interesting because the two cities are so close to one another and tied together, whether they want to be or not, that, like, Dayton is definitely WKRP and Cincinnati's punching bag. There is a lot of Dayton jokes on the show.
That is hilarious that they decided to dogpile on a smaller city.
Yeah, why not?
And then it's like, what a fucking dick thing to do. But at the same time, it's a hilarious thing to do.
Yeah. Somebody's always got to be the undercard.
Somebody's got to be the little brother.
There you go.
But at the same time, it's the kind of thing where it's like, think of how many cities can shit on Cincinnati. Like,
yeah.
I mean, there is a number of cities that can shit on us.
100%. 100%. It's interesting to think, though, that, like, most of the smaller cities in Ohio do have a city near it where it's just like, Like, I'm thinking Cleveland and Akron. I mean, obviously Cincinnati and Dayton. I don't know what Columbus's would be, though.
Yeah, it's Ohio.
Columbus is the capital, so I guess.
Well, Ohio or Columbus just it has no barriers, so it just continues the mushroom cloud.
True.
Like it's, I hesitate to say Chicagoland because it's not the same.
It's definitely
thing.
not. Yeah,
it's not like a thing where like Chicagoland's like 100 miles. Like, but at the same time, like, imagine like a mini version of that, where it's this little thing that can not stop growing out because there's nothing stopping it. It was all farmland, so there's not like a river or there's not like any kind of thing that's keeping
no natural barrier to like move things in a way.
It's pretty fucking flat.
Yeah, like
it's a very flat part of the state.
It is,
so that makes it easy to develop and keep adding to.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's the thing with Columbus because there are like little suburbs and places around it. You got like Pickering and or Pickerington and Grove City and Pataskala and all those little spots, Dublin, but then they're not as big as something like Akron. Akron is definitely a sizable place that exists because at some point like Cleveland just couldn't. It was growing into the sea the same way we are, and so that kind of creates that thing where things split off.
Yeah. I guess Toledo has to be in the mix too somewhere.
Toledo's definitely in the mix. Youngstown's in the mix.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's all sorts of like weird little, towns and cities in Ohio. I mean, Ohio is essentially like the big cities are Cleveland, Columbus, and Cincinnati. Right. But then after that, there are definitely sizable pockets of people that have hundreds or thousands of people living in them.
100%. Not coming like I'm from New York. I was born and raised in New York, so I moved to Ohio in 2007, I believe, and that's one thing I really enjoy about it is sort of like the small scale of some of the cities and your ability to kind of like New York is such a beast that like sometimes it's hard to be able to grab onto it, but like you go to a place like Columbus, Cincinnati has it in spades. I've spent a lot of time in Akron. Like you get a little bit more history from it. You can sort of see like, oh, okay, I kind of see how this place worked rather than it just being like a megalopolis like Chicago or New York City.
Yeah. Yeah, New York has always interested me. I enjoy visiting. I could not imagine living there.
Yeah.
Like to me it's just like holy shit, there are so many people and we're all near each other a lot.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, that wigs me out.
I wonder sometimes if I could go back to it because I've lived out here for quite a while, and I think the answer is no. I think you step out of the water, it'd be very hard for me to acclimate back in.
There's a lot of cities in America like that where it's a very distinct place where like if you're in it, you know it. New York, Chicago is like that. LA is like that. Miami, New Orleans, Las Vegas. Like they're not like other cities. They're their own unique thing.
Yeah.
Seattle. Like you definitely know when you're in them.
Yeah, I think that's true.
And there's definitely a thing where it's like, can I imagine living here? It's like, no.
Yeah. Nice place to visit.
Yeah, great place to visit. I love coming here. I think it's a very fucking cool place. The idea of living in LA, holy shit.
I will say that, so this is something I have realized after the fact of being a New Yorker. And I might have even said this to y'all before when we were doing Six Bomb Board stuff, is that like when you are like raised in New York by New Yorkers, you are taught that there's nowhere else. Like people won't exactly say that to you, but you're so wrapped up in like New York is the best city, it's the best place to be, that you get the message that like LA, no. Chicago, no. New York, yes. Which is bullshit because all those other places are great. But I definitely realized that when I moved here, that like I had a very New York mindset about like it's only New York, and I was like, well, no, wait, actually, Cincinnati's pretty cool. Like Dayton has the Oregon District. Dayton has some things where it's like, wow, flight. Akron, well, Akron kind of whatever. But I went to Memphis a couple of weeks ago with my old man. And again, like just a different thing. I would put Memphis on that list of places where you're there and you're like, all right, I kind of feel where I am a little bit.
I like going to the Football Hall of Fame in Canton. I think that's cool. I like the fact that we have the Football Hall of Fame.
The Football Hall of Fame is a sweet place to visit.
Yeah.
Like they do a good job.
It's very cool.
Yeah, they do a very good job.
Well, thank you for listening to our podcast about Ohio.
I know. When did that happen? Well,
come and visit the Buckeye State.
Throw another name at us. Let's do another name.
All right. Great call out here to jump us back into this because Jennifer Marlowe, aka Lonnie Anderson.
Yeah.
So probably the most well-known person from the show, the person that went on to have like a pretty successful large career outside of this.
Yeah. I mean, like she definitely did. She was definitely more known for like being famous than actually getting the chance to kind of like work that fame into anything. But she's dynamite on the show. Dynamite might be the word that I would use for her. And they did a good job of on that character of like, so she gets away with murder, constantly gets away with murder because of the way she looks, but she's beautiful and usually right when she gets away with murder. And I don't think the show lets her off the hook all the time. Like, it does communicate to you that like she knows that she's taking advantage of sort of like her looks, and like sometimes that's not the best way to be, you know? But yeah, I would say she's probably, if people remember the show, it's for Lonnie, probably maybe Johnny Fever and the turkey episode, which is classic lore.
Those things and Les Nessman are what I know of the show. Like those are my 4 touch points. Yeah, Lonnie Anderson like goes on to become Mrs. Burt Reynolds.
Mrs. Burt Reynolds.
Holy shit.
Yes.
How fucking American is that?
Yeah, the most masculine man and the most blue-eyed, blonde-haired, like American lady get married. And I think I know it ended badly and like it was all over the National Enquirer and shit. But like I don't know, they probably had a good run. Kind of cool. Good for Bert, good for Lonnie, good for everybody.
I don't know how this thing went wrong, but I'll tell you what, I like the idea of the setup of it.
Yeah.
You know, at one point they loved each other. There was a honeymoon at some point.
Sure.
There was
It ended badly though.
It did, but at one point, you know, fucking the Bandit.
Yes, the Bandit.
Lonnie Anderson together.
The Bandit. That reminds me of something. I do love Burt Reynolds, though. I love Smokey and the Bandit. That's so funny.
All right. Herb Tarlek.
Herb is just sleaze.
He's a sleazy dude.
He's a sleazy dude.
Guy.
He's sleaze. He's the guy who plays him, Frank Bonner, died in the last couple years. When I revisited this with my classes, I showed my classes some WKRP episodes and we did some stuff with it. The young people hated Herb Tarlek.
Really?
His brand of humor does not fly with young people today, which his brand of humor often involves womanizing and pushing himself on somebody who has clearly said no a million times. And that's a little trope of like comedy, like going years back. But in 2020, 2023, the kids did not dig Herb's style.
People are like, this guy is a pervy asshole.
Yep. And the show, again, does a very good job of showing why he's that way and humanizing him. And even he's pervy to Jennifer, but eventually they reach a point where it's like, they're friends. Like, that's just a part of, like, that's how Herb thinks he has to be. So if you can kind of maneuver around that, he can be a friend to you. But yeah, again, that's something that the modern sensibilities, it's not something that works, I think, today with the younger viewers.
I'm just trying to imagine plopping this character into like a modern workplace where there's just like a guy that's like humping against you beside beside a water cooler. Like the first time that happens, the HR is just like, hey, we got to end, you're gone.
Yeah, like, we're not giving you a second chance. You were talking to that woman about your dick. Like, don't do that in your next job. We'll see you later.
Hey, Herb. Hey, take a knee real quick. Gotta talk to you. You can't be talking about your dick with people, man.
Please.
Come on, dude. You're fucking killing us here.
One of the other great things about Herb is just his wardrobe. And they did such a good job of like basically like cutting out old fabric from like vintage cars and making him a suit that just looks insane. With this little project I did with my students, we commissioned artists to draw things, and Jamie drew. I gave Jamie Herb, I knew he'd do a good Herb, and his Herb is the bomb. It's one of my favorites. I have it up in my office with all the other ones. He's just kind of a sleazy guy.
Venus Flytrap.
Smart guy.
Okay.
Probably the smartest guy in the room, outside of Jennifer when it comes to stuff. Venus is an interesting, again, they're all interesting to me, but this guy, first of all, Tim Reed is an amazing actor. Tim Reed is an amazing comedian. Came up at a time when it was all about comedy duos, and sort of made his way onto the show. I think they did right by the character in some ways because they constantly gave him interesting backstories. He was a Vietnam War veteran. He was a teacher before he was a radio DJ. And so that character had a lot of soul to him, and I think that was Tim Reed doing that. Tim Reed brought that. But, great character.
All right, last one I got on my list, Bailey Quarters.
Yeah, Bailey is sort of the other gal on the show. So maybe if I just the other I guess the other. Do we count?
She's just some lady that exists in the background. They're like, hey, there's a chair over there. She's like, all right, cool. I'm like, all right, Bailey, take a seat.
She's probably. I mean, I think she's the one they did the least with. When you have a cast that big, it's always going to be a tough situation to serve every mouth. Every mouth has to be fed. And the gal who did her, Jan Smithers, the actress who was Bailey, was great. And that was, I think, the show's mouthpiece for talking about a lot of women's issues in a way that maybe Jennifer was not a great avatar for. So, yeah, she rounds out the cast. I don't know if I'm damning her with faint praise.
And she was there.
Yeah.
All right, so that's everybody. Did I miss anybody?
I don't think so. I mean, there's some smaller characters
some
that
guest
pop
stars
in.
that pop in.
Yeah, Mr. Carlson Mother appears. She has a butler that hates her, which is always very amusing. But yeah, you hit the highs.
All right, hell yeah. What about WKRP collectibles? Like, what do you collect anything from the show?
I do. I have something that means a lot to me, and I have a white whale as far as collectibles go. So I'll maybe talk about the white whale first. For some reason, when the show was on the air, a toy company decided to make a WKRP in Cincinnati record player. It played records. It had a little, I guess you could pretend you were Johnny Fever. I don't know why a small child would want to pretend that, but this was the era of toys that they would make toys for shows like that maybe kids weren't watching. Like I think of the All in the Family Joey Stivic doll. They made a doll that was anatomically correct, which was a very, very weird thing to do. But they did. So that's my white whale. I think they were made of like a plastic that the minute you touch it, it crumbles now. I've never seen one for sale anywhere. So that's my white whale.
Okay.
But my favorite thing that I own is I own an original script that was used on set, owned by Howard Hessman, for my favorite episode of WKRP in Cincinnati.
Wait, and Harold Hessman was
Johnny Fever.
Nice.
So I own Johnny Fever's copy of my favorite episode of WKRP in Cincinnati.
Hell yeah, dude. Do you thumb through it? Do you read it? Like, what's it like having it?
It's cool. I've never owned anything like this before. It's clear that there's different versions of the script in there, and if you were a note taker, you could probably take notes. One cool thing about it is that my man Howard Hessman, his prep was just to circle his lines. That's all he needed to do to it. So he circled them with a Bic pen and with some arrows that are just oh, your lines go on to the next page and stuff. I know this episode like the back of my hand, but when I did get this, I did sit down and I watched it and I read along with the episode. And I've said it a couple times, but for anybody who's watching, the episode that's my fave, it's called Baby If You Ever Wondered. It is from the second season, and it's an episode that means a lot to me.
Hell yeah. All right, so you personally like the show. You personally watched the show, but then you also brought this into the classroom. Can we talk about this? Like where was the crossover here?
So yes, I've been a teacher since the mid 2000s, so it's what I love to do. We talked about this WKRP bring you joy, and I said yes, but teaching also brings me a lot of joy. And when COVID went down, and we came back from COVID, I knew that I was going to be having some kids that were going to be having some deficits. They were going to be having some, not only deficits in what they were doing in the classroom, but deficits in socializing. So I tried to think about, like, we talked a little bit about the world that was with time television shows that always aired on Thursday nights, and you could, and that was something that for me growing up was very important. The ability to, like, go in on Friday morning and talk to like my friends and teachers about something that was on television. I'm not really. It's the same thing with the organized sports. I'm not much of a sports fan, so I didn't get that. But I could talk to you about, like, the newest episode of Seinfeld or whatever. So I wanted to try to bring some of that, and the locality of WKRP made it very appealing. And they did quite a lot of episodes that dealt with things that were real events that happened in Southwest Ohio. The Who concert, very famously, they did an episode about the...
Wow.
Yeah, they did an episode about the Who concert. The network didn't want them to do it, and they did it, and it's a serious episode. It's a really wonderful episode. They did it justice. They did those people justice.
Listener, if you don't know about the Who concert, it was back in the 70s here in Cincinnati. There was an arena tour that the Who was on, and basically, like, one door opened and everybody kind of went for the one door, and people were trampled and killed. I think there were like 10 or 12 people. It was a lot of people, and just a lot of people horrifically injured.
Yeah.
On top of that, and it changed the way that, like, concerts worked in America after that in terms of crowd control.
Yep.
You know, it's like, all right, like, if you set up for something this large and this many people are going to be here, you have to space it like this. You have to have doors open like this, and all that kind of stuff. And it's something that's just it's a heavy issue that's stuck with the city of Cincinnati for years. And sometimes I worry about it getting buried in a way where, like, people don't want to talk about it, but at the same time, it's like it's something that happened. It should be talked about, and just, you know, I think it's important to remember the people that lost their lives there.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think there's like a plaque, but I wish there was, like, more of a memorial for the people that lost their lives in that, like, something, because it's something that does need to be reflected on and is something that's important.
There definitely is a plaque set up. It is, you kind of have to know. I feel like you have to know about it to go and look at it.
Same. I feel the same way, where it's like, if you don't know it's there, you're probably not going to see it.
No. The Who did play here. I think they played at the SoFi Stadium. Is that where the FC plays?
TQL.
TQL. SoFi. Where's SoFi? Which one's that? Is that up in
LA?
Okay. Yeah. So they played where FC Cincinnati plays, and they bent the knee to it, I think, quite a bit, which they definitely should. So that's nice that, like, they did, like, kind of on the anniversary kind of bring it up a little bit. But WKRP beat them to the punch by so many years. That was very valuable. They did an episode about the super tornado outbreak in the 70s. Now, Tank, I am from New York, so I'm going to say the name of this town, and I'm probably going to butcher it, and then you have to tell me, like, hook me up, all right? Xenia.
Xenia. Have you ever seen
Xenia Warrior Princess?
No,
No, I haven't seen that one.
Oh shit, what is it? Hold on. Vamp for me for a second as I look this up.
Yeah, I will tell you that Xenia is the way you say the name of that show, of that town, and I can never say it right. My students will bust me on it nonstop, because when we talked about this episode, and we talked about it pretty in depth in my class, we sort of looked at it from a couple of different ways. I couldn't get it right. It was like one of those things that just sort of entered my brain and couldn't, like, I can't say it correctly.
Gummo. All right, I didn't. I tried to look it up and I couldn't remember the name of it, and then all of a sudden it popped in my head.
Gummo takes place in Xenia?
Xenia, Ohio.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
I've seen Kids, but I've never seen Gummo.
Gummo's good. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's very weird because it is the same guy who did Kids, so of course it's weird. But one of the first people to use sleep on a soundtrack, which was fucking awesome. And yeah, just a really weird, strange movie in Xenia.
Larry Clark had a good eye for that kind of stuff. Not, how do I want to say it? Just like alternative type, like, hey, you never see this in a movie, as like music. Or one of the things that I remember about Kids is there was a character running around wearing a ball cap that said the name of my favorite comic book ever, Hate. So you like a very visceral thing where it's just like, oh, Larry Clark knew about that, or somebody surrounding him had some cool and like brought it in.
Yeah, I feel like he was somebody who watched 70s movies and was like, we should make more movies like that.
Yeah.
In a time where not many people were, but it was the 90s, so it was like let's make them just as gritty, if not grittier.
Yeah.
You know, but
Kids is a gritty fucking movie.
It's pretty fucking gritty.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, like I always look at I always think of stuff like Bad Lieutenant and Taxi Driver from the 70s is like really kind of like gritty, like ugh.
Yeah.
You know, and as far as like bigger movies go, or even like stuff like Deer Hunter, you know, in terms of like emotional build up and all that kind of shit. But there's not, or even something as goofy as Rollerball, where they did try to have a point, but it was way too long. But you didn't see that a lot going forward. Like once you hit the 80s turned into a lot of like the big popcorn movies that are fun and I love and I grew up on them, are great.
Yeah.
But it did shift to where it wasn't like as dark.
You know what I love about Rollerball? You mentioned Rollerball. You know what one of my favorite things about Rollerball is the font. Like
yes,
the font of Rollerball.
Yes,
like
the font is great.
The font, it's so funny because it was just like somebody made that movie and was like, all right, fonts are going to be different in the future. Let's do this. And it's such an odd choice. I mean, the whole movie's a lot of fun, but
in the future, fonts will be ovally and squiggly, but at the same time, like kind of, I don't know, we're dealing with it.
Wouldn't it be cool if that's the way that it worked? That like it was like, all right, it's 2030. What are the fonts going to look like? What's going to be the new font that I got to get used to?
Dude, that's one of the best parts about going back and watching old 80s sci-fi movies is what they think computers look like before computers really happened.
Yeah.
So watching something like Running Man, where Schwarzenegger is like looking at this like basically like a small CRTV, and it's just like there's dots. It's like, oh, those are people down there, and then it like pops up with like aqua lettering where it's like crime in progress. This is happening, you know, and it's just like that's not the way computers work at all.
We never did that.
Yeah. But so many people use that. Like, I mean, Alien uses that.
Yeah. Escape from New York has a great one.
Fallout, the video game series, uses that for all of their stuff. Everything is just letters. Like, there's not really images. Everything is just letters.
Yeah.
And
Blade
numbers.
Runner, of course.
Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting to see like how movies deal with the future when they don't know what the future will be.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good one though. We got off on such a tangent. Is this how this goes?
Yeah, man. No, yeah, this is the show. Yeah. And the whole time you were worried about coming on the show, I'm like, you're going to be fine on the show. And you're like, I don't know. It's like, trust me, you'll swim in the waters. Everything will be fine. So, all right. So,
we were talking about using it in the classroom.
Yeah, working with kids. So, okay. So introducing this to them, like, did they bite initially on the WKRP thing? Were they like, oh, that's something I'm into, or were they like, oh, what kind of old man shit is this?
I think most of the things I do in this vein are what kind of old man shit is this. Initially, I started it with the pilot episode, and the kids were definitely not knowing where to have it. But I knew sort of one of the things that I really admire about that era of television, and WKRP is at the end of that era, is that it was very progressive in storytelling. Like they made some very progressive choices about how they were going to like deal with the issues of the day. I mentioned All in the Family earlier. All in the Family is probably the like the ground zero of like, we're going to talk about abortion. And we're going to talk about it through the lens of this working class guy. We're talking through the lens of like everybody in the house, and then everybody's going to have their say. So I knew WKRP had a couple of episodes that were like that were going to kind of carry the day for the kids. And so I sort of made those choices. The other thing that I knew we had going for it is that I had squirreled some money away, and we were able to hire local artists to draw the characters. And I think that was definitely an exciting thing to the kids, that like they got to look at art from local people who are working in a field that like kids want to be artists. Like honestly, like they want to work in creative fields, and had that opportunity to kind of email with those people, talk to those people. So those were the things that sort of carried the day until we got to around Christmas time, and people were, I would say like 80-90% of the kids were full on board. Full on board. No! They got it. I mean, we had some bumps in the road, some things that were a little like, language, of course, at the time was very different. What you would say, again, we talked about Herb earlier.
Yeah.
Herb's brand of humor required a lot of what, and I do this all the time, is I like to give trigger warnings, right? And the kids will joke about it a little bit when I say like, all right, I'm giving you a trigger warning, and then I'll give them a trigger warning about something where it's just like, somebody in this episode is going to use this word, and they'll watch and they'll be like, that's nothing, right? It's nothing. And then we'll get to an episode where maybe they're dealing with some a word where it's like, they're going to use a word that's not very commonly used now. It's not a slur, but it is definitely something that people like don't normally like use in 2023. Negro, right? So you have these characters who are living in 1978, but that was what was valuable about doing it, right? Because they're looking at a time before, and they're looking at the time now, and they're having that conversation. They're having that dialogue. It's sometimes hard to have that conversation in a classroom.
Yeah, and it's an interesting way to like set this up, where it's like, all right, like here is a way to make it to where it's, again, you're dealing with people who are growing up on TikTok, so they need a video format is working better for them than reading, maybe, to get them to try on something.
Yeah, and
it's like, this is a way to like see a story and figure it out. It's a bummer that like there was them tuning out of it, but it's also cool that they get to experience it, because I do think there is also a thing to think about too with like historical, like what this world that existed before they existed, and understanding history and understanding what America was like at that time, and just also just technology at the time, and just
100%.
Shows at the time. Just,
yep.
This is the past.
So, and I know we talked about it, but like I did WKRP, and then I decided to do MASH. So MASH was the second time that I tried to kind of walk in and do some like, all right, we're going to look at these shows. We're going to look at it from a sociological perspective. We're going to look at it from a historical perspective. We're going to look at it from like how it was filmed. We're going to really look at it like it's a text and a document. And MASH, I think, as much as I love MASH, it has too much heavy lifting for the kids, because you had to look at it through the lens of you're in 2022, and you're looking at a show that was made in 1972, but it was made about 1952. And it just seemed like it was a bridge to, like, jump. Like, you kind of have to know a lot about, like, 1950s culture to appreciate, and then 70s, and then you have to make your ultimate appraisal. It still works, but it didn't work as well as WKRP. That's closer to where we are now.
Well, and also MASH has got the weird thing going on with it, where it's like, it's made in the 70s and it's about the Vietnam War. We're going to frame it with the Korean War.
Absolutely.
And then it's like, all right, like trying to explain that whole side of it.
It's weird to think that it has too many moving pieces, but it definitely, I think that was a challenge when I tried to use that text. Not that I didn't get kids who dug it, and we did some friggin' awesome stuff with it. But yes, there's a lot of moving pieces to that one.
I grew up on MASH because my dad was in the military and my mom was a nurse.
Okay.
And so MASH they were like, this is great. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. I'm fucking 6. Let's watch MASH.
Yeah.
But it was fun. Like, the characters on the show are great. Hawkeye Pearce is a great character. Alan Alda.
Absolutely. That's all you need to say is Alan Alda.
He fucking crushes it. I liked the idea of like when they switch people out, like, was it Trapper John? Was he the first guy?
Trapper was it's sort of like dominoes fell. I think it was, you had Colonel Blake dying.
Yes.
And then the very next episode, in addition to No More Blake, Trapper John wasn't there anymore. Yeah. So you had 2 knocked out at once.
Yeah. Yeah. But the jump over to Potter was cool. Yep. I like Potter. I like Radar. Yeah, it's a good series.
It works. It's one of those shows that, again, it helps if you immerse yourself in it. And one of the great things about that genre of television is when a situation comedy works the way that, like, financially they want it to work. You don't just have 15, 18 episodes, you have 250. So you get a lot of time to spend with those characters, and not every moment of it is going to be like, that was a great episode. In fact, there's some downright shitty episodes of everybody's favorite series, like The Office. The Office has whole seasons that are kind of off, but you stick with it because of the characters, because of the situations, and because you kind of like being with those people.
If you could do this course, but like do it outside of a high school curriculum, because I'm sure that there has to be some kind of guardrails to this. Like I don't think that you're going to be able to like come into a class and be like, we're watching The Sopranos.
Yeah. But
if you were teaching this on a college level or something like that, what would you pick?
My dream, my beautiful dream is I would love to do something on the works of Norman Lear. Which is something that, like, I toyed with doing, and I ultimately decided, as mighty as Norman Lear is, it's something that it would be far too challenging to do, having to explain all the pieces of, like, yeah, Archie Bunker talks like that. He drops the N-word. Like, he calls Jewish people by that name. It would be a bridge too far. It would keep the kids away from the material. So, like, no guardrails in, like, a college-level class. That would be something I would love to do. Also, weirdly enough, I thought about The Cosby Show as a show that's worth not even a reappraisal, because The Cosby Show is a fine sitcom, but nobody wants to. Nobody wants to look at it. It's hard to look at. But it was an important show. It was an important show for a lot of people for a lot of different reasons, and it was a good show for a long time. That's one where I thought that might be worth a second glance in an academic way.
Yeah, I mean, it is a weird thing to think of now because of what it is. And that's one of those things where it's just like, how does that reframe a lot of 80s culture?
Yeah.
Because that, and also the Michael Jackson thing as far as like molestation goes, you know, and like, how do you look at Michael Jackson right now? Like I recently had a friend that put together like an all-American list of like people. One of the musicians that he put on there was like Michael Jackson. I'm like, man, the dude's a pedophile. Like, you know, and it's like, I get it, man. He wrote Thriller and it was fucking awesome.
And it's Halloween, and I do want to hear Vincent Price say that shit that he says at the end of Thriller.
Yeah. But it's like, it's fucking rough. And and I guess that's, now we're at a time where the argument of art versus artist is, I guess it depends on like how much you like the art and how much you like the artist.
Yeah.
And like, where do you rank and put stuff? But yeah, like that is, I mean, like both of those guys in the fucking 80s, what they did as far as, Michael Jackson did in music and as Cosby did in television and fucking, comedy and everything else, like both huge.
Yeah. The Cosby Show is one I think about. That also, I should say, I definitely decided against that after thinking about it, because I realized, like, I am probably not the person that should do that. Like, somebody with a different worldview, like somebody like would be better being the person to re-examine that than I would be in a classroom. I'd rather have somebody who had a different like perspective on race, right? Like, it just might not be my ball to play with. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. Yeah. And especially because it is a thing where it's just like, I can definitely at this point, I'm just like, this doesn't really impact me that much. But, definitely in terms of like, being like one of the few black shows of the 80s.
Yeah.
And it was a thing that was mainstream accepted.
Yep.
So it wasn't, and it was a thing where like, I'm sure, I don't know what the experience was for black people growing up, but I'm sure they were pretty hyped about it in the 80s at the time, where they were like, oh, this is great. But now we live in 2023 where it's like, shit, man, this guy, fucking monster. So, it's a weird thing. Yeah,
it is.
It is a weird thing to try to unpack, So yeah, well, okay, I'm not doing that course. You're not doing that course.
No, but Norman Lear, if anybody wants me to do a Norman Lear course, I would definitely be down for that because he has so many good ones. All in the Family, The Jeffersons. I recently rewatched the first season of The Jeffersons, and it's dynamite. It's unbelievable how well it still plays, at least in my opinion. Maude, like he did so many good things, and he was all about that social conscious angle, like the idea that like television should be making you laugh and telling you a story, but also it should be referencing some of the more difficult things in our country that you need to reckon with. You need to give a second to it.
Do you feel like shows like WKRP or MASH could exist today? Like something that is giving social commentary about a specific city or about something like a war?
Here's what I think. I think a lot about the idea of regionalism. And this might be some pie in the sky bullshit, Tank. So I'll just let you know right now that regionalism is the idea that like we had regionalism in the 60s and 70s where like Cincinnati, there were shows that were filmed in Cincinnati that were Cincinnati shows. Like George Clooney's dad, Nick Clooney, is that dude's name? He had like a talk show here, and there were talk shows in individual like cities, and then sort of the media constricted to a place where that didn't exist anymore. I think a show like WKRP in Cincinnati that is regionally specific could happen, but I don't think it would happen in the traditional system of like a sitcom or even like a big streaming service. I think that's going to be an independent thing. And I think that's got to be a place where the means to make it reach the ability to pay for it. And then you'll have a show that's like, yeah, like I live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and there is a real situation comedy being made in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania about Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, or wherever, what have you.
Yeah. No, that hopefully that does happen because that would be very cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would definitely be a niche thing. But yeah, that might be a way to approach it nowadays because yeah, I don't see how they can exist now. And the way currently everything is structured is so weird. I don't understand network TV anymore.
No, it's a hard one to look at sometimes. I still like to turn on. I still think cable's a good. Are you a cable cutter, Tank? Do you still have it?
That cut so long ago.
Yeah, so I still have cable for some reason. Like we still have cable. I don't know if I can say this. I'll say it. All right. I was for a couple of years a Nielsen family. Do you know what a Nielsen?
Yeah, I know it. Yeah.
So I was a Nielsen family. I had the little box on my TV that was recording every time I turned on the television and I watched American Pickers.
You look like a fucking Nielsen family.
Hey, man, I got the 2.5 kids. I got it all.
I love the fact that when you can go home, you just like boop, boop on the TV and boom, instantly cable.
Absolutely.
Right,
it doesn't fuck up too often.
and no, that's the great thing about cable is it's there.
Yeah.
Cable is there to be watched. There's so much to watch on cable.
Yeah.
It is an easy to access big screen format.
Cable TV, if you still have cable, which nobody does, I might be one of the last people, but cable TV, reliably, I'll go home and I'll turn it on. Reliably, there will be 2 movies that I wouldn't mind sitting through. 2 adult cartoon like Rick and Morty type things where I wouldn't mind sitting through it.
I like this year ring endorsement. Wouldn't mind sitting through it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's okay.
It's one of the beautiful things about cable television is that like you can turn on the television and Jurassic Park will be on and it'll be 38 minutes in and it's like, oh dude, I'm gonna watch the rest of this. You don't have that experience with streaming. Like, you have to start it from the beginning. I don't know why that's a big thing for me, but I do not mind starting Shawshank Redemption at like an hour 10.
Listener, leftover pizza, missionary sex, and cable.
Absolutely.
The big 3. Just, they're comfortable. They're there for you. They work.
Yeah.
Here it is.
You don't have to think about it too much.
No, it's straight ahead. All right, so what do you think about the difference between television series that were and the modern series now? Like, so I kind of look at things in my lens is like, I look at a TV series in the modern generation is like Sopranos forward modern.
Yeah. I would agree. I think Sopranos is the marker of like, as soon as the Sopranos became a hit, people were like, oh, it's game on.
Yeah. Where it had that mainstream appeal where like, Oz existed before it, but at the same time, it didn't have the following the Sopranos did, where it was like a much wider thing, and people were like, "Oh, I'm on board."
Yep.
And then the world shifted in terms of what was on TV, and then we had the shift of we went from like the majority cable cutters, and I'm sure even you still with cable, Netflix, streaming services,
so many.
that stuff. You know, now going to the series format where it's like, hey, we're just going to release like 10 episodes at once. They're going to be an hour long a piece. You're going to get a 10-hour story. You could watch one 2-hour movie, or you could watch a fucking 10-hour series.
Yep.
How do you like to digest stories and media today? Like, do you like half-hour TV shows? Do you like 10-hour seasons? Do you like 2-hour movies? Like, how do you ingest shit?
So before I answer that, let me just say, because it's the second time you brought it up, Oz is a great show. Oz doesn't get the kind of credit it deserves as being the bellwether for where everything went. So I'm glad you're talking Oz. All right.
I loved Oz. It was one of the first things I watched on HBO. It was like way different than anything else.
It was so different from anything else that would ever been on television.
Yeah, it was just brutal and quote unquote real.
Yep.
Where it's like, I don't know if this really happened, but at the same time, this is like a very like brutal and real and like we're not taking the camera away.
Yeah.
It's not a horror movie, but at the same time, it's a drama.
Yeah.
It's violent and chaotic.
Yeah. It's a good one. But as far as how I consume media today, I am definitely a fan of. I'm not a fan of the binge. I'm not I can do a binge sometimes. It depends on the show. Sometimes I think it depends on the topic. There are some shows where like I love them because of the binge. Like BoJack Horseman's a perfect example. The BoJack Horseman, when that show was on, when that thing came out, it was just time to sit down and watch all 12 or 13 episodes. We have sort of a system in our house where we have nights where we watch things, my wife and I. So like we watch, it's a show on Netflix about a Viking guy. It's really good.
Vikings?
It's not Vikings, but it's really good. This guy Uhtred of Uhtred.
Okay.
Bebenberg. I can't remember it, but like we'll watch that on one night, and then on Thursdays we'll watch that new episode of Star Trek. But I guess that one's dropping every week anyway. So I think people like watching one thing a week and knowing everybody's going to be talking about it.
Yeah, I think it depends on like what you release in terms of a series. I think that if you're like a legit big mainstream series, then do the release one a week thing. Like if you're something like The Last of Us, if you're something like The Mandalorian, you know, if you're something
Ted Lasso.
Yeah, Ted Lasso, go ahead and drop that once a week. But then on the flip, you got something like Cobra Kai where it says like, we're just going to drop the whole season.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh shit, I appreciate that Cobra Kai because I fucking love this show and I love the binge the shit out of this. And there's also like a lot of newer things where they drop everything as one like full seasonal thing where it's just like, all right, we're going to throw it out here and if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. I ran into one of those. It was, it was some horror thing on Netflix where it was everybody in LA over the age of 20 died, and like the high school kids took over.
I saw a preview for that. I haven't seen it, but I saw like a trailer for it.
Yeah, and I forget what it was called, but it was like I couldn't finish these. I'm like, this is fucking terrible, but God bless it, they gave it a shot.
Yeah,
you know, it was kind of a cool concept, and visually it looked cool. It was just the story writing was shit.
Yeah. I have noticed, I mentioned Ted Lasso. I did notice almost immediately on this final season, because with a sitcom that's like about a half an hour long, I won't binge it, but I might wait till 2 stack up. Like that's an hour and change of sitting around. And I remember going in and after the second episode, realizing my coworkers, like, they were on it. Like, this was going to be one I'd have to consume week by week because that's the way most of the people that I would be talking to.
Have you seen it? Yep. Have you seen it? Have you seen it? Yeah.
And then I definitely noticed, like, there were times where it's just like, have you seen the new Ted Lasso? No, I haven't seen it. Ah, well, fuck you. Like, we're not going to talk about this right now. I guess we got to find a new topic.
Yeah. Well, and that's rare. Like, there are a few shows that still have that pull. I think Game of Thrones was the last big one. That was the last, like, big must-see. That was a little bit with, like, they tried to make Westworld that, but Westworld fell off. And The Last of Us was like, it grew over time because I think people were so snake bitten by Westworld that they were like, I'll give it a shot. And then over time it did build. So I think that it's going to have a pretty good run out the gate when they do season 2.
I liked The Last of Us. I really did. And I consumed that that was week to week. Yeah, I consumed it that way. That's how I hit it.
Yeah, I got some criticisms as a fan of the game, but at the same time, they're not much and they're very minor. You know, like it's one of those things where I wish they would have zigged when they zagged. You know, and honestly, one of the things I just wish I got more zombies. You know,
sure.
But at the same time, it's just like, okay, like that's fine. Like keep building it up. And also, there is a thing to be said where I don't want it to become like The Walking Dead, where it's just like, oh, I'm conditioned to know that you're never gonna get bitten. Yeah. Because no matter what, you're always protected.
Your name is third on the title when it plays.
Yeah.
Unless it's the last episode, you're fine.
Yeah. Norman Reedus can fight 1,000 zombies in a field.
Yeah.
And all he has is like a fucking railroad spike, and it's totally cool.
I have been thinking a lot about zombies lately, dude, because so as mentioned, WKRP, MASH, and now this year I'm very excited about what we're going to be doing, which is we will be Middletown High School will be working with the Sorg Opera House to put on a performance or to put on a showing of Night of the Living Dead, the original 68 Romero classic. Which
I'm stoked about this. I'm very stoked about this.
Ditto.
Well, you said earlier that like your Star Wars was Alien and Aliens. My Star Wars is Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead. Yeah, that's my trilogy.
Yeah.
So when you told me you got Night of the Living Dead, I was like, oh fuck yeah, dude. Like, so all right, like. When, like, how are you doing this? Like, how's this going to work?
I just got the okay to do it last week. So what I'm doing right now is I'm sort of marshaling how we're going to do it. One of the reasons that Night of the Living Dead was so appealing to me, there are a couple of reasons, and one of them is that it's in the public domain.
Yes.
Night of the Living Dead, and I think that's especially when we're talking about a world of corporations and streaming services that can pull movies at the drop of a hat, which is happening right now all over the place. They're pulling things. Night of the Living Dead belongs to me. It belongs to you. It belongs to everybody. Even if that's an accident because somebody fucked up the copyright.
Somebody fucked it up.
We own it. And that's an important part of our society and culture is that eventually everybody owns the thing and you're not making money off of it anymore. So that was one thing that was very appealing to me. The other thing was that the script is readily available. So that is something I learned with MASH. Use the script as a text that leads into what you're going to watch. And then the third thing was just how wonderfully plugged into that late 60s, early 70s zeitgeist Romero and Russo were to make the movie. And some of the choices that they made, particularly the choice of Ben, is it's a progressive choice. It's something that they didn't do to be progressive, but they just did it because he was a fucking good actor. And the story has a lot to say about the Cold War, has a lot to say about race relations. It has a lot to say about women's liberation, I guess. Barbara's not she's no Ellen Ripley. But that's interesting to see what they did there. So there's a lot of educational value to this zombie movie.
Yeah, it definitely is something that hooks you, and it's definitely something that there is a thing where, like, as you watch this movie, it's not just zombies busting through a door. Like, there's a whole lot more going on with this. Mm-hmm. And it's always impressed me that, like, Romero decided to paint with this brush. And especially, like, what he did with Dawn of the Dead, where he was, like, taking on things like consumerism and stuff like this in the 70s. And just, like, you know, the ability to, if you just surround yourself with enough creature comforts, you can block out the outside world and ignore how awful everything is.
Yeah.
It's just like, man, zombies, that was the way you wanted to paint this? Okay.
Yeah.
But it works, and it's awesome.
And it's uniquely American. It's like zombies aren't. Obviously, zombies like have a rich history beyond like Romero zombies, but Romero's framing of what that looks like and how it feels in this country is such an American thing that I do think that's another piece that's very valuable. Like when you look at it, it's like everybody does a zombie movie like Romero now. Like you can see the template all over the place in a lot of horror movies that some of them don't even deal with zombies, like The Last of Us. but it is a very like American genre.
I think one of the things that makes it very American is there is a lot of guns.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's
yeah.
really like that. Like that's something like when you watch Shaun of the Dead, where you're like, oh shit, they don't really.
That would be a problem.
They don't really have guns readily available.
Yeah.
And they're fucking throwing records, and they have cricket bats. Like shit,
Yeah.
this is a problem. Whereas in American zombie movies, everybody's getting plugged in the head and put down. Yeah, it is interesting to like look at it through that scope of like where the world exists and at what time. And it is a very uniquely American thing. Well, look, so is there anything we didn't hit upon that you want to talk about tonight?
No, I think we're good, dude. I think we talked about a lot of stuff.
We did cover a lot
I'm
of
wondering how you're going to cut this together. I honestly, I feel like we went into some rabbit holes where it's like, I didn't even know we were going to be talking about that.
Again, that's the show.
What a lot of fun.
All right. So final question. All right. So we talked about, we did talk about the idea of like, if you could just do something college classroom, we also, talked about, some other stuff here. What about, what modern series would you like to take on?
A modern series to be talked about on, in sort of an academic way. That's an interesting one. I thought about Ted Lasso for a second. I don't think it has enough on its mind. Like, I think it's a sweet show, but it doesn't.
It makes you feel good.
It does. And that's valuable, and that's what you want television to do. But, like, it doesn't mean that it is worth, like let's really bear down on it and look at some stuff.
No, it's just, it's the thing that brings me happiness every week when I watch it. And I'm just like, okay, I'm happy now. Yeah. Because the rest of the world is hell. But this is nice. It's a golden retriever. It is.
That's a good way of saying it, dude.
I pet it, and it's great.
Yeah. I had a thought the other day watching cable television. Do you know the show Blackish?
Yes.
So Blackish is an interesting show because it's definitely in the Norman Lear model, but it has a spinoff right now that looks like it's a drama. So there's a spinoff with the kids where like they're in college, and it's a completely it's filmed differently. And that was one that I thought about for a second. I was like, I don't have enough knowledge about that.
Okay.
But the one that I think about a lot is I'd love to do The Middle. Have you ever seen The Middle?
I've heard of, never seen.
So The Middle is it is a show written by somebody who is a Dayton native, I believe, who is now a Hollywood writer. And it's just a show about a lower middle class family, definitely in the vein of Roseanne. And I like that show quite a bit. I don't think it got its due. That would be one that I've tried to figure out how to do that. But it's also one of those shows where it's like, there's like 330 episodes, and I don't have the basis of knowledge.
That's a lot.
That's a commitment to trying to figure out, like, I'm going to dive in and I'm going to watch that amount of the show to figure out if it would work for my needs.
Okay, fair. I feel like for me, I threw The Wire up there just because, but I feel like that's like the one everybody's going to throw up there. Like, The Wire is good, but it's not the greatest series of all time. But again, everybody loves the fucking Wire.
The challenge of, and I'm glad you said that, because one of the challenges of trying to think about how to do this, and I'm definitely in a high school mindset, and you asked about college, is a sitcom fits into a high school period.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Right? So, there are a lot of dramas where I would love to cut. The Wire would be something that would be very interesting to look at. There's a lot of dramas that I think would, fit the bill and be interesting. But I'm constrained by the time that I have the kids and how I can do it. But at college level, my so-called life would be one that I'd want to look at. I know that is not exactly modern, but
I throw Justified on there.
Are you excited about the new Justified movie?
I'm so stoked about the new Justified.
Me too.
Dude, I'm so stoked.
He's coming. It looks so good too.
Well, and Justified's like one of those shows where I would just want to talk about the fact that the first season is this weird thing where it's single issues.
Yes.
Where every episode is just kind of focusing on a character just to introduce you to who they are.
They're just building the world.
Yeah, and then the second season is the entire storyline where it's just and now here we go.
Yep. FX is really good as far as we talked about the binge. FX shows
FX.
are very easy to binge.
Well, and it's because I think the FX looked at HBO and we're like, oh, we can do that. We're on cable.
Right.
Like we can't go as hard. We can go pretty fucking hard.
But we can take the story aspects that make those compelling and still do those beats.
And then they made The Shield, which was the TV show with the worst intro song ever. But at the same time, it was also groundbreaking.
See, I've not seen The Shield. I've not seen any of The Shield. I gotta fix my ways.
The Shields we're seeing, it's going to be dated. You do get to see young Walton Goggins, which is fucking incredible. Dude, he's amazing.
Oh, you're watching Gemstones right now?
Of course.
He is incredible on that show. He's unbelievable. You can't stop looking at him when he's on the screen.
Baby Billy? Everybody loves Baby Billy. Baby Billy's Bubba Bonkers.
He's so good. Those teeth.
Yeah, just constantly. Yeah. I have a Danny McBride.
I know you do.
Tattoo. So I'm anything Danny McBride I'm for.
You know what, Tank? I just thought of one as far as a modern series that I seriously toyed with, and I still might do at some point. Is The Good Place. NBC's The Good Place.
Really?
Yes. I think The Good Place would be an interesting one to do specifically because of the philosophy angle. It would be very easy to consume some random episodes of The Good Place and be able to structure lessons around like, all right, well, they're talking about Kant. So let's look at Kant. All right, well, they're talking about like the trolley problem. Let's talk a little bit about the philosophy behind that. And what made that one very appealing was that it is readily available.
Nice.
I believe right now it's streaming on Netflix. Most of my students have Netflix, so it makes it very easy to be like, all right, you can go and watch all that. We're going to be looking at these two. But if you want to sit there and binge it, if that's your way, go binge it.
Hell yeah. Well, look, Chris, dude, thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate it. Plug your socials real quick. Where we can find you?
Right. So you can find me on Instagram at Mr. Pearce Teach. You can find me on Twitter at Teachable Comics. And I do have a Tumblr.
Hell yeah, dude.
It's so easy to post things on Tumblr, and Tumblr's interesting to look at because there's so many bots on there that you'll post something and they'll be like, wow, 80 people looked at it. And it's like, oh, it's all robots looking at my work. Probably shouldn't be posting on Tumblr anymore.
Jamie still has Blogspot, and I'm always jealous because it just works. It just
God
works.
Bless him.
Yeah. And it just works. Like, he is constantly everything he puts on his Instagram immediately goes to his Blogspot, and it's easy to find. He doesn't have to fuck with it. And he's like, yeah, I don't have to manage it. I'm like, dude, my fucking website is just filled with nothing but malware right now.
Yeah,
it's horrible. And you've picked wisely. You've picked wisely, sir. Listener, you can find me at Neil to Know on Instagram. And thank you for listening to the podcast. Hey, if you got a friend that is into WKRP, because who doesn't have a WKRP fan? Everybody's got a friend that's into WKRP. But tell them about the episode. Honestly, just if they're into TV shows in general, tell them about the episode. And then if you want to share any other episodes with them, go for it. Every episode's different. I have 100 of them now, and kind of fitting every collection and every hobby. Chris, dude, thank you for coming on the show.
Oh, this was fun, Tang. Let's do it again. I had a good time hanging out with you, buddy.
Come on back. And listener, peace.